Hi there. Hey guys, hello. Hello everyone. I'm Elena. Hope your day is going well. I can see several of you and I can see you are still joining. I hope you are ready to learn, engage, and gain valuable insights from our speaker about the topic. So let's get acquainted. I'm Elena Prohoda, and I'm social media marketing and community specialist at Serpstat, all-in-one SEO platform for marketers. And let me tell you about our tools and the webinars. The Serpstat Search Marketing Toolbox includes more than 50 tools. With the platform, you can analyze websites and competitors, create SEO content, collect keywords, audit websites, cluster keywords, and track rankings every day, and many, many more. And there is also a free 7-day trial available. And why attend Serpstat webinars? Digital marketing experts and thought leaders cover hot topics at our live events. And they provide SEO agencies, in house teams, freelancers, and business owners with practical advice and techniques to achieve their SEO and business goals. And today we are covering how to improve your presence in answer engines using the customer decision journey. Let me talk a little about the format. It will last about 1 hour. If you wish to ask a question, you are welcome to do so. Our speaker will answer them after the presentation, and the webinar materials will be emailed to every registered attendee. Don't forget to register if you haven't already. And I'll send the page to the chat. Just a moment. It's almost there. Great. And let's meet our speaker. Hi, Sarah. How are you?
Hi, Elena. Thank you so much for having me.
Great. And having you speak on such a great and actual topic is so exciting. Firstly, let me introduce you briefly for our audience. And Sara Moccand-Sayegh is an SEO specialist, co-host of SEO Nerd Switzerland, an SEO-specific Meetup, and public speaker. She works at Liip, one of the largest web development agencies in Switzerland. And at Liip, she supports all partners and clients with all things SEO, from technical to on-site SEO. And her goal is to work with clients to maximize their organic performance. As Sarah will share with us today, we will discover how can you be in the chatbot responses and curious about it. And yeah, okay, I'm eager to learn about that too. So prepare your questions and enjoy the topic, guys. Sarah, here you are.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. So the slides. Okay. So the title, I think that is clear. Like, we will use the customer decision journey to figure out how to be part of the chatbot. Mainly is that. So let's start. Okay, so I already had like a great introduction, so probably will not be required that I introduce myself again. Sorry, can you hear me properly? Okay. I obviously will not introduce myself again. The only thing maybe that I can add is then we also open like a sort of conference or meetup, call it the way that you want, on Global SEO Club, which I co-founded with Ulrika Weber. And the goal is like to speak about international SEO. So let's start now the main topic. Okay, so I created an agenda. It looks a very long agenda, but the goal was really to break everything down in small pieces to make it a little bit more clear. So we will speak about generative AI. We will not go into technical detail about generative AI. You can always follow, for example, Google give an introduction on generative AI. You can always check there. And like this, you can understand a little bit better how it works. But like, I will need it just a little bit. Then we will go to figure out when people use chatbot, because they're not always using chatbot. Sometimes you prefer to use a search engine, and sometimes you prefer to have an answer from a chatbot. So let's think when this happened. So next, obviously you want your brand, when the chatbot give an answer, you want your brand to be in the chatbot, and so in the chatbot answer. And so there we will, from there on, like from point 3, everything is about how to be part of the chatbot. So okay, so there is two ways in which generative AI impacts people questions. Okay, so first of all, if you don't know what it is, generative AI, it's really not important to think on this presentation to understand exactly what it is. But the idea, it's like are techniques then help like chatbot to generate like a more human language. So when you, for example, you use Bing Chat or GTP or whatever, you have an answer and you are often like, wow, this is how I would answer. Okay, if that is your reaction, it is because they're having this like more human response, and generative AI plays a role in that. So now, to have like, in which case generative AI enter and have an impact, like when you go on Google or when you go on Bing. So the first option, which I have an impact, is when I go on Google. Okay, it's not available for everybody, not in all countries, but the idea is then you can go on Google and you can directly click where there is a right converse, or you can go in Bing and you can directly click on chat. So you are actively looking to speak to a chatbot. Okay, so you go there, converse or chat. Both case, you are actively going to have a chatbot answer. Then there is the second option, which is more passive, like the effect of generative AI is more passive in this case, and is you go on the search engine, you write, for example, okay, there I was working, for example, for a client, for a job board, and then you can write, how can I improve my CV for the German market, for example. Like it was a job board, so was trying to figure out a couple of questions that people could ask, and then you want to see the answer, and then this answer then you get from Bing, it's very similar to, I would say, it's the same answer than the chatbot would give, because that is like the same experience. So that is generative AI that gave that answer. Something really important, and we will discuss a lot, so maybe try to check it now already. If you check down here in the slides, you can see then there is always like suggested questions, follow-up questions, suggested questions, and these are very important. We have them here with chatbot, and we have them here with Google. Now, here it's also Google, like this is a company, so and here it gives like the description of the company, and it gave a lot of information about this company, and this is generative AI then played a role in creating this incredible experience. Now, okay, let's stop a second on Google and what we have seen here. Okay, this part. And Google will speak about a search generative experience. Why they will use this is because, like, as you saw, you have so many information that are very targeted and make you understand the really fast topic. And I think this is something really important, is then all the new experience is about you understanding a topic faster. And then it's about, okay, see new viewpoints. Okay, for this, there are new filters. But what is important is really, from my point of view, is, okay, we want you to understand as fast as possible. Okay. So, by the way, this was funny because I asked, funny for me, I don't know if for everybody it was funny, but then I asked Bing Chat to tell me what a search generative experience was. And so it gave me the answer, and I find it like pretty good. So I use it. Okay, now when people use the chatbot on the search engine, okay, so this is like important. When do we use it? But before starting to explain you when do we use it, we need to refresh a bit or to learn, I don't know, it depends on you, what search intent is. So search intent, I mean, when you go on Google or on Bing or whatever search engine you're using, and you ask something, you type in the search bar. So when you do that, you could have several reasons to do that. You could have, like, you have a question, and then you will use probably in your question how to do something. Then that it would be more informational. You will have navigational, which is really, for example, you're looking for YouTube, then you just write YouTube, and then that, like, mainly you are writing for a brand or a product. Then you have the commercial investigation. Commercial investigation is when you start comparing, for example, best training shoes, best something, best luxury watch. So all these kind of things are commercial investigation. And then you have transactional, when somebody normally write buy, the price. So for example, they would write a red polo shirt, etc., which give it very descriptive, and then will be transactional. So now what is important here is then we are passing from a search intent, which is informational, so I have question, to transactional, where I am buying. In between, so between transactional and informational, I have like commercial investigation. So when somebody starts to write best something, it normally is very close to the idea of I want to buy it, okay? So let's go to the next step. So this is where our search intent is important, but before checking the search intent, this comes from Bing, so it was their research. And what we can learn from this slide, it's okay. So when I start writing best something, best coffee machine, for example, as they have there, is interesting, which I was very close to a transactional intent. This is the commercial investigation intent, which is the one that comes before the transactional. What is very interesting is I use a chatbot. I'm not using Google search. I'm not using Bing search. I'm using a chatbot. I want the answer from the chatbot, which also give me some ideas like, you want an answer from the chatbot. So it's important for me to be in the chatbot. My brand have to be in the chatbot. And when I go, as I said before, and I write just YouTube, but I am going just on Google search, and I just write YouTube. And then I'm not using a chatbot. So these are quite important, because it means then when I have a navigational intent, I will use search engine. When I have an informational or commercial investigation intent, I have the tendency to use a chatbot. So that's mean then if I have a question, I will go to the chatbot. If I want to know what is the best product, the best luxury watch, for example, I'm going to the chatbot. If I'm saying, like, for example, a watch brand, I don't know, Jaeger-LeCoultre or Rolex, and everybody know Rolex, then I am going directly to the search. Okay, what next? Now, okay, let me give you an example by using a customer decision journey from the Pedowitz Group. We will check that more in detail, but this is just for you to have an example. So if each of these squares correspond to one of these touch point of the buyer decision journey. So if I check the number 3, which is consideration is when I start searching on Google. I'm literally searching on Google and or Bing, whatever, or it depends on the country that you are, whatever other search engine you are using, and I'm starting to search. Okay, what is interesting? In the consideration phase, I have questions because I am in a informational, I am like in the informational side. So I have question, how to cook I don't know, a cake. I don't bake. So how to bake a cake, for example. So, okay. And that I will probably go to the chatbot to ask it. Okay. So I want then the chatbot give as a reference my blog, for example, about baking. Now, if I go to the next step, which is the evaluation, is where I have like shortlisted. Okay, I've shortlisted some brands, and here, for example, where I'm shortlisted some brand, is like often is the moment where it's like in between where I'm starting really to ask which are the best brand for, like I said before, for the watch, which are the best luxury brand, for example. So I'm shortlisting there because I'm excluding, for example, Swatch because they are not luxury brand. I am starting to really exclude and select just a few of them. And again, there when I start to compare, I am between consideration evaluation or more in the evaluation phase. So that's mean that I'm still asking to the chatbot. Then when I finally decide, I arrive to the decision phase, which is number 5. Okay, this is my number 5. And in number 5, okay, I will definitely take the decision, so I will buy or not buy your product. Now, from the data then we got from the graph of Bing, I can say when I am buying if I will go to the chatbot or to search engine. I deduct then you will go mostly to a search engine, but that's like I don't have data to prove that. That is what I think, and the time will show us if I'm right or wrong. On the other side, in 4 and 5, so when I'm in the evaluation and decision phase, there are big chances then I will go directly on the website. So for example, if I want to check Rolex and buy Rolex, I will go directly on their website. Maybe in the case of Rolex, just to take an appointment, but in the case of a tool, like maybe directly to buy it. So I know then there are a lot of information there. So, okay, so let me, so I will answer the question at the end. Is that correct, Olena? Yes? No? No. Okay, we'll continue. And then if you have a question, just let me know at the end. I will answer everything. So this is a typical example of, okay, I go to the chatbot. As we said before, best brand, when I start using best brand for something, I am in the commercial investigation query. So very close to the final step. So in this case, I'm in the chatbot and I am asking, what's the best brand for magnetic old open device for fire doors? Okay, I could have chosen something more simple, but the idea is that probably there are many brands that are producing device for fire door, magnetic old device for fire doors. And and then I have just 3 here, okay? And then if I have just 3, I have GZ, Dormakaba, LCN, Centronic. Okay. Now, let's say then I am one of these 3 brands, I'm happy. For example, I'm Dormakaba, I'm very happy because somebody have asked that, I am Dormakaba, they are going directly to my website. I have the reference to my website. I'm pretty sure that something like this, there are many more brands that are producing like this specific thing for fire door. But just 3 are there, just 3 reference I have, which make me clearly say I need to be in, I need the Google Bing chatbot to take me into account. I need to be part of the answer. So let's say then, so this is a raw estimation, but I would say before we had like 10 links. Now we have 3, maybe 4. If you're very lucky, sometimes more. But what happened is then after, when there are more, they will write plus a number and a number. This plus and a number are like, who will open plus and number? To be honest, nobody will open this plus and number. So what happens is then you are like, no. So you absolutely want to be part of the first 3 at least. Better the first 2 in case. So how can your brand product be part of the chatbot? Because at the end, this is your goal, as we demonstrated before here. If you're Dormakaba or if you're GZ or LC Centronic, you absolutely want to be part of that answer, especially if you are producing this device. So, okay, so what we have seen till now, we have seen like how people think. Okay, we have seen generative AI, but that was just an introduction. We have seen how people think. So, okay, when do I use a chatbot? When I'm using Google. And now we have seen why it's important for you to do something, to make sure that you are part of those chatbots. Now we need to figure out how. How can I be part of, how my brand can be part of the answer? My brand, when I say my brand, also my product and everything. So, okay, so I worked with Jason Barnard on that. We spent a lot of time thinking and analyzing, and there is something that it calls the Kalicube process, like 3-pillar Kalicube process. So we use that. Then it was a process already existing to see if it works, yes or no. And I especially worked on the deliverability part, so to extend it a bit. But the idea is then, first of all, the machine, the system, need to understand. Okay, so understanding is there. So they need to understand your solution. I will briefly pass through the first 2, and I will go much deeper in the third. But the idea, it's okay, if the machine do not understand who you are, what you do, you already have a problem. They're guessing, and sometimes they're doing very weird and wrong thing. Then there is the credibility part. You have to be perceived, your product or your brand or whatever you're trying to sell have to be perceived as credible. And then that it's a little bit okay, to be honest. And then there is a deliverability part. So this, it's like the how you are delivering your content. Okay, I would say big part is about how deliver your content. Now, if you didn't understand these 3, don't worry, we are going one after the other one and you will understand better. So first thing is like understanding. Okay, what about understanding? So what that means is then the system need to understand your brand, need to understand your identity, need to understand what you are offering, and need to understand who your target audience is. Okay, so whatever you want the machine to know. They can't guess it. You have to give this information to the machine, okay? So that the machine can use this information. So mainly it means the best option for you is to become an entity. If you don't know what an entity is, you can ask me at the end and in the question, and then we will discuss about that. But like probably one of the best thing is then you can become an entity. And then once you become an entity, you need to continue feeding the machine. Feed the machine with all the information then you can about yourself, or valuable information about yourself and your ecosystem. The next thing is credibility. Credibility, we have an example, but it's a bit like tricky maybe, in the sense that credibility, it comes from inside your website and externally. So what that means? So for example, if I am saying I have the best product ever, nobody cares, not even Google or Bing or any other search engine. They will just not believe you. But if you start saying, listen, I have a great product, so great, then I have like people then are giving me like 5 stars for the product. And this is inside your website, maybe thanks to schema and everything is inside your website. Okay, that is already an indication. I have people inside my site giving sign that the product is really great. And then, but that is not enough. You still need to prove it, prove something more. And then the idea is, okay, so how can I prove that? Okay, for example, if you are a tool, then you can use Trustpilot, okay, software. If you are a software company, then you can use Trustpilot. So now imagine you have a product which has like stars inside, and you have this product which is on Trustpilot too, and the 5 star are confirmed on Trustpilot as much as in your website. Okay, this is credibility. When you start saying it's 15 years then I work in this domain, for example, you are creating credibility also, but that have to be proven also externally. Now this is where we really focus. So this is really the thing where I will focus, and is the deliverability. Okay, so here it's primarily about the content that you create. Okay, so it's larger, like it's the content that you create, but what is important is, I would say then that is the main thing, because it's also about the user experience. So I do a lot of tech SEO. So for example, the speed and other signals are like more an holistic approach than you have to have. But really what is important is the content that gets created. So, okay, so now let's focus a minute on this last point, okay, of the 3 steps. So what that implies? Okay, so 1, so you have to produce content for each step of the customer journey. This is fundamental. And the customer journey do not end at the moment that you are, it doesn't end at the moment then you sold. Like there is much more, there is the onboarding, there is everything. You need to produce content which is the right format, and which is very important, is the right format. So what that means that they have to be, for example, it could be frequent asked question, case study, blog, video. You really have to think it through and know what is the best format. Okay, obviously the content you produce need to reflect the user intent, and then there is the 4th point. So when you work on deliverability, I can't pronounce this word, deliverability. When you work on this part, on deliverability, so what happens is then you are influencing the other 2. understanding and credibility. I will show you that like in the next few slides. Okay, so we will check the Pedowitz Group customer journey model, and I will explain you why I like this one, but like each company will have probably a different one, and we like to work with different one. So, okay, so why I like this one? Because it doesn't stop to the decision. It creates a loop. So let me go fast through it. So for example, I am unaware that I have a problem. Okay. I am on Google Discover. Okay. I have my super feed on Google Discover. Then it's saying, when you start running, you have to have special running shoes. And this I discovered because I read a blog then came out on my Google Discover, and then I get aware of it. Oh my God, I start running. I absolutely need a running shoes. Okay. Then I probably go in my consideration phase and I start searching. Okay. I go to my chatbot because we know there we go to the chatbot. And then I start checking in the chatbot and which are the criteria to define good running shoes, for example. And then in the chatbot, it will say, shocking, how you say that? Shock absorbing shoes. Okay, shock absorbing shoes are really good. Okay, shock absorbing shoes, fantastic. So I've learned something. I need to, thanks to the chatbot and thanks to the fact that now I'm aware that I need shoes. Okay, and I discovered thanks to the chatbot an important criteria for running shoes are then the shock is absorbed. Okay, now what I will do is to not waste time, I will still ask to my chatbot which are the best brand for shoes that absorb the shock. Okay, running shoes and absorb my shock when I'm running. Okay, so there I have a list of brand. Okay, and if I have a list of brand, what we say at the beginning, I am in the evaluation phase. I want my brand. If I'm Nike, I want my brand to be there. If I'm Reebok, I want my brand to be there. I want that when somebody is looking for shock absorbing shoes, I am there. So I need to produce material. I need to produce things. For example, I will need to produce frequent asked question, then answer my question about like which are the best shoes, or I need then they explain everything, like maybe through frequent asked question, blog post, or whatever it is better for the content and what the content think is better about shock absorbing shoes, because this is a question that I have. And if you don't answer that question, you will not be in the chatbot, because the chatbot can't invent. Yeah, they can a bit. But what I mean is then you have to feed them something that they can use. Okay, so if you are not answering the question that I have, they will not be able to use them. Okay, let's say then I discover after my final evaluation and I'm like, oh, okay, my decision is for Nike. Okay, fantastic. I buy a pair of Nike. But then I want more. Okay, maybe I am not very good in running. You have to help me in the onboarding. There are probably a product which the onboarding is a little bit less important than other, and other which is very important. So, for example, in software onboarding, it's very important. Let's face it. I mean, if you don't know how to use it, you can always go search on Google and Google like how to use, I don't know, Google Sheet, whatever. I have it and now I want to know how to use it, or whatever technology you're using. But it's really important then you use it and then you find all the answer to your question that you have. And maybe, like, depend on the company, the marketing team will be big enough to not just have like on Google, it will also send you like by email, or I mean, is up really to the marketing team what they want to do. But if you want an answer on the chatbot, you need to have it written in some place. And this also means that when I will go when I will start the onboarding part, I will probably write online if we are back to running shoes and I have my Nike, how to best use my Nike on which ground is better for me to use my Nike to not have a problem with my knees, for example. And there, if I do not find the answer, I have a problem because I'm not satisfied. And then if I have a problem and I'm not satisfied, I will go directly. It's a problem. I'm not satisfied. But what can be good is now then if I find the answer, I'm satisfied, which is very good. And then I start running and I'm improving because maybe they've give me tons of advice on how to improve, and I can find them online. I can find video. I can find everything. Okay, so I'm using my Nike. Then I spent probably 150 or 200 bucks, but I'm using them. I'm really taking value from what I bought. The problem is when I do not take value, or the value is less than what I have paid for. Okay, this is fantastic. So if I feel that I'm taking value from this, I will become loyal. And this is super important for credibility, because people then become loyal. You can ask them to write testimonial. Okay, so that's mean that I'm a client. I will go to your website and I will happily write, I'm the most happy client ever. And you did this for me, and I'm really happy of what you're doing. Okay, so search engine will see, or not search engine, like more the system will see, okay, they have testimonial and they have people that are happy, and this help you in the second step of the Kalicube process, which is credibility. And I can do more, much more, if I became an advocate. Like I think that nobody have so many advocates as Apple. If ever you are an Apple user, then they go all over any place and they write how Apple is fantastic and how much value they take from Apple. Okay, so that is also extremely important because it helps credibility. They went externally and say, you are great. Again, it's not a matter of backlinks. They're mentioning you, so it's already good. And then moreover, if I'm happy, I will go to my neighbor and will say, hey, neighbor, come with me running and buy this pair of shoes, which means then my neighbor will start directly from the consideration phase. Okay, so I need to have my content in all the steps, because I had question here and I need the question to be answered inside the chatbot. I had question here, which are the best. I need my question to be answered. I had question here and I want you to answer my question. And again, a chatbot cannot invent questions. And then I reward you by helping you here and here. So next. Okay, these are like all the touch point of the funnel, but like we have checked them a bit. We will skip them. They are in the slides anyway. So now, question when you go in the touch point, when you produce your content, okay? So you can ask yourself, for each of the touch point, do I need to produce content, yes or no? First question, okay? So if for touch point, for the first touch point, for example, in our, which it was, let me go back so then it's clear for everybody. Okay, for example, let's start in the consideration phase, okay, because we spoke a lot about the consideration phase. So let's go to the consideration phase. So I'm like, okay, this is where people go online and ask a lot of questions. So that means that I really need to produce the content. So I need to know what are people's expectations in this step. What that mean that I need to have a list of questions I have to have a clear list of questions then people are asking there. You can always work with your sales team. You can check online. People also ask. You have tons of ways to accumulate the questions which are really important. And you want to become an expert. So you really need to have them all and all answer. So now what I can do, it's like, is to think, okay, so, okay, in that phase, I have all these questions. I have to remember before preparing them, what is the search intent? Okay. So what we have seen in step 3 is like more informational. Okay. People there have more like how to, they have a lot of questions. So I need to prepare everything related to the question. Okay, so example, exactly, there I give you the list of questions. On the other side, okay, I have my list of questions, which is fantastic. Now I know what people want to know. I have to decide what I want people to know and what I want the system to be aware of my brand. Okay. So in that case, it means, hey, I really want to know. Okay, so if I want them to know, then I have these shock absorbing, fantastic shoes, then they are the best in the world. I need to answer the question in a way then the answer engine can be aware of that. So, okay, so I need to prepare like what people want to know, and I have to prepare the answer, then are the information that I want to give. And so now the big question is, do I already have material for this? Yes or no? Okay, if I have the material for it, fantastic. But now I have to check, is really appropriate? Can I do better? Yes or no? And if it is no, okay, now I have to think, okay, which format should I use? I particularly like a frequent asked question, but it could be a case study or something else. But you really have to think what is the best format to deliver your question answer, or what people really need to know. Okay, so we are almost at the end. I don't know how much time I still have, but we are at the end. And so now let's check an example of successful case. Okay, I love, if you didn't get it, luxury watch branded. I have none, but I like them. And I know then one of the most famous is Rolex. So I'm using Rolex even if it is not my favorite. But I know that everybody knows Rolex. So let's go with Rolex. Okay, so my first question is, what are the best luxury watches? Obviously, Rolex will always be there. I am happy because I see some really nice brands like Jaeger-LeCoultre, Amadeus Piguet, Patek Philippe. These are all brands that are really luxury brands and are really nice, and they do an excellent job. So I'm happy because I see an answer and I see, okay, it's fantastic. So if I was one of those brands, I would be happy at least to be there. Okay. Now I go to the next one and I'm like, okay, so in the reality, the second question, then it's not me then created the question. I was just clicking, you know, how you see here, then you have like the suggested question. So I was just clicking on the suggested question. So the next suggested question that I came is this one. Okay. Price range luxury watches. So it was probably what are the price range for luxury watches. Okay. So I'm here and I'm like, okay, this obviously it gives you an idea. And I see, wow, interesting. Chrono 24, it's there. Chrono 24, it's a brand which sell second-hand watches and of all brands. And they probably did something there to make understand people, okay, you can join us and we have everything for all type of price. But then somehow I would be disappointed if my brand is not like, I have no link to my brand. And as you can see here, we have like 2, and then we have the famous plus 2 more. And I'm still questioning myself, who on earth will open that? But again, we will see. Okay, so now it comes the next one. It's very funny because like I had several questions, and one that really grabbed my attention is like, which one is your favorite? It's like if the chatbot is like, say, I select that, it means that I'm asking to the chatbot, which one is your favorite? Why would I do that? But obviously, out of curiosity, I couldn't like not do it. So and there again, what happened? It's okay. As I am an AI language model, I don't have personal preference, obviously, no? And this it was what I was expecting. And then it comes the however. However, and bang, is making reference again to Rolex. Seriously, we had some very good luxury brand initially. They eliminate everything, and we are just making reference to Rolex, which is a problem from my point of view, because if I am Jaeger LeCoultre or any other brand, which are luxury brand, I would say, what? I have to do everything to be inside there. So and then so now we give me again what is the most expensive watch brand. Okay, I click. I'm going a little bit randomly there, and it's not. I am not very proud of how it's bringing me down, but okay, what is the most expensive brand? Expensive watch brand. Okay, and then what shocked me, or maybe surprised me, is then in the next answer, then they are suggesting again Rolex. Rolex is not in like the most expensive watch brand because they're very standardized. So I'm like, what? They are bringing me to Rolex. So I personally think then what you can see here is then, okay, Rolex is very strong. They have it's an entity. It's very clear what they do. They have credibility, external, internal. But what they had on the top of everything, they did a perfect customer journey, customer buyer decision journey. So they were question and answer for everything. So whatever I do, I will find myself in front of Rolex, which means then the other brand probably did not do like the perfect customer journey, buyer decision journey as Rolex did. So that is like, I think then on the top of Rolex being Rolex, they really played really well in their marketing team in producing content for everything. Okay, that's all. Thank you so much. You can join me on Twitter, LinkedIn, or whatever. And I think that's all. Thank you.
Great, Sarah. Thank you for the informative presentation. I really enjoyed it, and the practical examples helped me to understand the concept better. Great examples. Thank you very much. And before getting to Q&A, let me tell our attendees about how Serpstat can help here. So. As a business looking to improve its conversion rates, your content should appeal to every type of search intent. In other words, it should be search intent friendly. And you'd want to mediate your prospects with content as they go about their research phase and ultimately their decision phase. And how do you make your content search intent friendly? The key is to select relevant keywords, of course, and you just need to have an initial idea of what keywords you'd want to rank for, and then use a keyword research tool. And Serpstat keyword research tool fetches all search terms containing your set keywords, and the software compiles all the results and includes critical data such as search volume, cost per click, return rate, and many more. And a keyword research tool will also allow you to narrow down the list based on your determined criteria. So, for example, you can specify that you only want to see search queries with less than 10,000 monthly searches, for example. And if you're focusing on exact intent, you might consider collecting long tail keywords. So in SERP keyword research, you can generate a list of long tail keywords. To do this, click on the filter button and set the number of words in a keyword to greater than 3 or between 3 to 5, etc. And search questions. Then to see the list of search questions which are more related to chatbots queries, so you can get to the next feature of SERP keyword research tool. And here, mark all questions you need and copy them to batch analysis for further analysis and selection with the metrics I mentioned before. And one more feature I find useful here, FAQ generation tool is a great feature to create a list of questions related to your topic. You can take these questions into account to create separate articles related to each question or consider them as sections for your future article to cover the featured points. So you can find it helpful, I hope, and these tools are free to try during a 7-day trial, so don't miss out. Anyway, I believe that following the approach Sara presented to us today and using the right tools will lead you to achieving your marketing goals and improving your search engine presence. And remember, write for people, not just the ranking algorithm. So, Sarah, let's answer some questions from our audience. Guys, leave your questions in the live chat. And let's get started with the first question from Mike. Uh, Hello there. Okay, if for example only one brand can get into chatbot responses, how difficult or easy do you think it's now to get there? And does it correlate with the difficulty of getting to the first place in the search results for different niches?
Haha. Okay, so let's start from the beginning. So, for example, I have a client which is not an entity, okay, but he somehow is very well known for something very specific, like they do. They recruit. It's like a recruitment company, but they recruit very, very specific profile for international organization. Okay, so they're not an entity, but they are in a very specific niche, very, very specific. And they work with the concept of multilateral organization. Okay, so they will find for multilateral organization. Okay, so this is a very specific niche, and the competition is not like, let's face it, there is a lot of competition from the organization, but maybe less than in other domain. Okay, so if you go and you search, for example, jobs in multilateral organization in the chatbot, you will probably, like, it depends in the country that you are in, but there are chances then you will have them. So that is a little bit more easy, if you want, as a domain, to be in the chatbot. Now, if we take the example of running shoes, oh my God, how many brand produce running shoes? Okay, I use a Nike because, like, I know them. Reebok, I know them, but in the reality, there are tons of other. And there, it's really, really difficult. Now, if you're asking me, it's a correlation between I'm like in the first place of the search and then I go in the chatbot. From what I've seen, it's not always the case. Like, it's not always like 1-1, but it's more about how much the system has understood you. So maybe in the future, yes, it would be probably 1-1. I don't know. To be honest, at the moment, I don't know. But I've seen like some brands which are not like in initial position, in first position, but still be in the chatbot. So So I guess then there is something about the understanding. Better they understand and less they have to guess what you do, who you are, more chances you have to be in the chatbot.
Yeah, thank you. Makes sense. And another question, a question from Brian. Will Schema improve the site's ability to show its content in chatbots?
So, okay, so I am a big fan of Schema. So I don't know if I'm biased on that, but I think then helps just because it helps the understanding. So if it helps the understanding and all the process behind these 3 steps, a lot is about helping the understanding of the machine and understanding, especially in the first phase. So automatically Schema help. So I have a couple of examples where Schema was used like inappropriately, or like there were contradiction. Like for example, let's say you have 2-time website, like 2-time is used website, but in a contradictory way. Okay, that is always a problem because like, what should I do? the system do not understand. Where should I go, here or here? Should I understand this or this? But yes, whatever can help the understanding. So especially the first step of the 3-step of the Kalicube process, I really think that is important. A schema helps the understanding.
Thank you, Sarah. I like the way you are explaining that with some examples. Great. And one more question from Angela. How long can it take to become an entity for a new brand and then be featured in the chatbot's responses?
This is a tricky one, Angela. I don't know. So what I know then Jason Barnard did like a visual on how long it takes if you do everything correct and everything. So I don't have it on the top of my mind, to be honest, but what I do is then I check where they stand. Okay, where the brand already stand. So normally I have the Google API, the NLP Google API. So I can check, are they entity? Yes or no, first thing. Okay, they're not an entity. Okay, so I go on Google, I will write their brand, and then I will check, in the image, you have all the filter in the image. If you go, I don't know, let's say you write Nike, and then you select image, and then you can see a lot of filter, which in the reality are entity and are related entity. Okay, so that will give me a bit of an understanding where the brand stand. Okay, and if there is nothing related, really nothing related at what I should understand and what people buying your brand should understand, so I know then it will be a long work. So you will need to work on everything. You will need like probably 1 year. If you start really from scratch, then nobody understand you. You need 1 year of continuously working, proving yourself, proving that you exist, proving then other people think then you are great, proving. So it's just a matter of continuous of proving till, okay, I have my famous number, then everybody wants to have, and then I also have the understanding, and maybe I have the knowledge span. So I can give you an example. I am an entity, and nobody knows it because there is nothing about me. So what happens is then I have a number. Okay, I have my ID, so which I don't even know which one it is, but I have it in some place written, so I can even show it to you. But when I check my ID, my number, it's like I don't even have a knowledge panel. It's empty. So if I do not have a knowledge panel, it means probably they're not really there is something, then they are getting bothered. Like the system is bothered about something. Why I have a number, but I have zero information about myself. So probably the system, I have contradiction of information in some place, or then I should clean up then I will never do, and I will hope then by magic they will disappear, and then I will have a knowledge panel by magic or something like this. But I would say, like, if you start from scratch, it's like at least 1 year, but like continuously working.
Okay, thank you very much. So it looks like we have covered all the questions, and it's time to wrap up. So, is there anything you would like to add or highlight before we end, Sarah?
No, I just wanted to say thank you so much for having me. I know that it was like a very long, dense presentation with like a million of things. So I hope that it was, if not clear, half at least, half of the presentation at least, then it was clear. And I'm available for any question also outside the webinar.
And once again, Sarah, thank you for your thoughtful presentation. It was great. Examples were so exciting, and we are eager to start this long way, maybe. So, guys, it was great to have you all watch, to ask questions, and be engaged. So, thank you very much. Enjoy the week and take care. Bye bye.
Thank you so much. Ciao, ciao. Bye to everybody. Thank you.